Hey guys, what's up? So I'm going to do a tutorial on how to make it so that dust will follow your character using the particle system when you walk. There's a couple ways to do this. This is the way that I found the easiest, and I've had the best results doing it this way. So I have a little project set up here. This was an older project I was going to start working on. As you can see, it's like using in A Link to the Past, or no, it's a Link's Awakening sprite, and the rest is drawn by me. But I never actually finished this project. Anyways, perfect for testing. So I have a player object here with a sprite and a light. That doesn't matter. That's whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and create a particle system here. And I'm going to drag that as a child of my player. That means when my player moves, this will move as well. So first thing we're going to set up in the particle system here is, as you can see in the game view, particles are behind the tiles and behind the player. Now they should be behind the player but not behind the tiles, so we have to go and see what sorting layer our player is on. If you're doing a top-down game like this, you probably have some kind of depth sorter like I have here. If not, it's okay, but you just want to make sure that whatever layer your player is on, you want the particles to be one under. So to do that, we're going to go to the renderer down here, and you'll see sorting layer. Now I have a custom layer set up which is called ground, so I'm going to change it to that. And as you can see now, it's above the tiles and below the player. But the player and the particles are both on the same layer, which is 0. We want to switch the particles to -1 to make sure it will always be under the player. Okay, now that that's out of the way, one thing that I like to do with my particles, especially when working with pixel art, is to make them pixel particles instead of these, soft circles. So to do that, if you're interested, you can go up to the material tab here, and if you don't already have a material made for like a pixel, you could just type sprite and click sprite default. As you can see, you get some nice squares here, and then we just have to make them a bit smaller. So to do that, we're going to go up to start size. I like to do random between two constants, which means that it will each particle will be randomized between these two numbers. So I like to do 0.15 and maybe 0.25. I think that's nice. So another thing I'd like to change is start lifetime. We don't need a 5-second lifetime for these particles, so we'll change that to 1. The start speed, 0.25, maybe even 0.5. Something short like that so that they are moving, just not a lot. Okay. The most important step here, that if you're wondering why you try this method and the particles just aren't working the way that you expect them to, is probably because you have the simulation space set to local. You need to set it to world. It's very important. So anyways, once you set the simulation space to world, most of the work is already done. The next step would be open up your emission tab here, and this is personal preference purely. It's set to 10 right now, a rate over time of 10. I like to bump that up quite a bit, maybe 35 even, because I mean, you're running, kicking up dust. It's not going to be like, if that's set to 10 and we move this around, like it's not a lot of dust. Anyways, so I'm going to bump that up to 35. You can close out of that emission tab now. Now in the shape tab, it's set to cone. I like to set it to sphere. And then we got to bump the radius way down. As you can see over here, we'll center that like around the feet of our player. And is that radius too big still? No, that's probably fine. As small as you can go, actually, would probably be the best. So right now, I'm just going to test this and see how it looks. As you can see, the particles are being created constantly. You need to set up a script so that these particles will only be enabled while you're walking or running. So if you're not sure how to do that, basically wherever you have the code to allow your player to walk or run, like when you have like the input.get button down or whatever you have, put in a line of code that enables this particle system, and then when you're not walking, we'll disable the particle system. Okay, so the next step, this is more personal preference here, The color over lifetime tab. Oh, I'm in the play mode. Okay, let me just get out of there. So, color over lifetime. I like to go, open this up. You can just click the bar, and you'll see you have 4 points here. The top 2 are the alpha, the bottom 2 are the colors. So you're going to want to click the far right alpha and drag that all the way down. Okay? So what that does, if I play the particle system and I move it here, you can see that the particles start fading away at the end of their life, which is very nice. It's a nice touch. You could also do size over lifetime too, and click the graph. Right now it's going from small to large. We want to go from large to small. So there's a bunch of presets down here you can click. I'm just going to click that diagonal. And now, as you can see, they're kind of fading off, getting smaller. Another thing I like to do is just kind of like, white is nice, but, you know, how often are you kicking up white dust? I'm getting a ton of errors there. I'm not sure what that's about. We can ignore that. I don't know what that's all about. If for some reason this is not working correctly. Maybe not. There we go. Yeah, I think my Unity was just glitched for a second there. So if you want like a dirt color, you can go ahead and do that. So now everything should be set up for your particle system. All you need to do is hit play. Let's walk around for a bit. And as you can see, the particles follow my player. They disappear. Looks quite nice. Now, one problem I've noticed, especially with top-down games, if you have a depth sorter, depending on how you have it set up, you might have to set up a script that will adjust the particle system so that it is always one layer below your player. Because if I walk up here, you can see the particles actually move in front of my player at a certain point. But if I had a script to set up to put them under the player, then this would not happen. But yeah, simple way to make dust. Thanks for watching. Hope it helped.